Hey everybody, welcome back to Don't Be Kurt. So, any of you guys ever get a chance to get a redo in life? Like, something totally didn't play out the way you wanted to, and you're like, man, if I could only get to do that again, here's how I would do it. Well, this is my chance. So I've never gotten a chance to talk about it, but before, I used to have an E46 BMW 330 Ci Coupe. I bought it back in 2014, so as of this video, that was about 10-ish years ago, with hopes and dreams of doing a silly thing of an LS swap. And as luck would have it, I never got a chance to have it. And I say luck because I never really knew much about the M52 engine that was in there, or the M54. Buttery smooth inline 6 engine, and I thought when I bought that previous E46 that the engine was shot and I would have to start over. But you know, I got good friends. We've seen my friends at Bimmers R Us help me get it together. The car ran great, and yada yada yada, dined in stage 2, did a ZHP suspension swap on there, did a whole bunch of work. But one of the things with that car was I started with such a bad beginning. It was a really raggedy E46. Paint was ruined. Funny story, if you guys ever meet me, ask me about the AutoZone and the people there who assisted me in trying to do body work in the AutoZone parking lot. It's I'm a little naive sometimes, and sometimes I'm not naive, but I just want to see where this stupid thing's going to go, and it didn't go well. Anyways, had that car for a while, and my youngest son got their driver's license, was driving, and as what happened with young drivers, they were in a bad car accident, and the car was totaled, and I sold it to another YouTuber. I mean, not really to their YouTube channel, but that's kind of how I knew who they were. Eric from I Do Cars, so I went to Importer Parts, parted ways with the car, and that was that. And so it kind of left a, I'd love to do that again, or at least get to finish the project. Well, anyways, fast forward to now, I have some family members who donated this to me, a 2001 BMW 330i sedan, and unlike my E46 I had before, this one's a 5-speed manual, and that's awesome because the last one was an automatic, and that was the only part I was like, you know, actually to the point where I was trying to do a 6-speed manual swap that was in the works, but the car was totaled before we even got to that point. So anyways, let's talk about this car here, the history of it, which I know all about, and a little bit more about the E46 and why I believe this is probably the best way outside of a Miata to get into your classic front engine, rear wheel drive car. Is kind of fun, won't get you into too much trouble, could be used on a track, could be used for daily driving, could do everything. BMW 330i. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Don't Be Kurt, where sometimes I like to go a little deeper than just review a car. So today I want to introduce my newest car, 2001 BMW 330i. This is a 5-speed manual, it's got the 3-liter engine, and it's on my favorite chassis from BMW, or well, maybe second favorite. E30 is always gonna be near and dear, but it's tough. It's top 5 for sure. The E46. And it's a legend by many people. You've seen it all over the place. It's on drift courses. It's on racetracks. It might even be being used as a drag car. I have no idea. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen it on dirt tracks. I've seen it everywhere. But what made this chassis so great? And another thing I want to bring up while we talk about the E46 is try and do a little white knighting and save somebody, because I think somebody deserves a little credit for the E46 and they don't get it. So how did this E46 become an icon? Well, let's look into it. Let's dig a little deeper. So the story of the E46 clearly starts in the late 90s when it was released in 98, and that's when it came out to us. But what happened before that? So before that, BMW was just wrapping up the E36, and they had a hot new designer, and also at the same time the E36, Mercedes started turning things around with their compact car. I mean, they had the 190e, but things were starting to get a little fiercer. Audi was making a comeback as well too after their disastrous 80s with the Audi 5000 and the accelerator issues. So and you had plenty of Japanese manufacturers making very excellent compact luxury cars. Maybe not so much sport, but maybe both sides. So anyways, BMW, knowing who they are and what they represent, clearly knew they had to go above and beyond. So during the development phase, BMW and their engineers and their developers clearly were on a mission. And they wanted to create a car that just didn't meet expectations, but to exceed what they did before the E36, the E30, and to beat out all their competitors. So leading this charge was a man who we all know and have infamously kind of made fun of, Chris Bangle. Chris Bangle, as most people know, is been coined the person behind the Bangle butt era, which is you saw with the E65 7 series. I might have that number wrong. E65 series, the 6 series of the 2000s, but he was there during the E46 and was the head of BMW design. So Bangle, alongside the incredibly talented Joji Nagashimi, who was the leading person in the exterior design, envisioned the E46 as a natural evolution of the E36. And the E36, as we all remember, was just kind of more of a squared off BMW, still angular, still very 80s looking in the 90s. And we know in the 90s we went to a very much, every car was rounded and bubbly, which I always wondered about the Ford Taurus kicking that off in the 80s. That's another story for another day. But anyways, Nagashima had design philosophy that was all about sleek, flowing lines, and so this mixed in with what they were going with the E46 didn't just make it a car, but it was a work of art for them. It was aerodynamic, it was refined, and unmistakably, just based on all of his attributes, remained a very, very good BMW. So Nagashima his focus wasn't just looks, clearly. He made sure it performed even better. So the E46 was sculpted to slice through the air, so that's where you go with that boxy to more of that round look, and everything was rounded. Less drag, had better fuel efficiency, and the proportions remained true BMW. So the long hood, short overhangs, everything that made that car iconic and still not dated and still good looking today as it was when it first came out. And also, as all BMWs have, the Hofmeister kink still existed as well too. So you look at it on every BMW, it's there somehow. Maybe I'm lying on the Z4 and the Z3, but it's mostly always there. So we all know, so clearly being the E46 was just more than just looks and stuff like that. The engineering team led by Wolfgang Reitzel, they were obsessed with getting the car's handling right. The E46 had to be a driver's car because that's it. The BMW is the ultimate driving machine. It had to be right. And that meant perfecting the balance. And so Reitzel's team was able to get the E46 proportioned in such a way that it achieved a near perfect 50-50 weight distribution. And this is an engineering, and because of that, this allows the E46 to feel very connected to the road. It's purely a driver's car, and we have Wolfgang Reitzel to thank for that. So part of this, in making this happen, that meant shedding some weight, tightening some stuff here and there, and with that, they introduced a lot of aluminum materials into the E46, most notably the suspension. So some weight had to be cut, and which cue the current M5 getting ready to come out. We've thrown that out, but back then, weight reduction was important. And with cutting the weight and using the suspension techniques they used, the E46 had really razor sharp handling. Now, there are some people who will argue that they kind of went against that with the introduction of the 330 in 2001, which we'll get to because that's what I have with its over boosted steering. But overall, the E46 kind of rose above the ranks of being a point A to point B car, but being about a car where it was engaging and it was enjoyable to drive, no matter if you were going to the groceries, spirited drive on some back roads, taking the family on vacation. It was an engaging, great car, and they did it. They did a great job. So in 1998, the E46 finally comes out, and it was apparent immediately that BMW hit gold. I mean, well received by all of our viewers. The car was just a dynamic car to drive. It was excellent. It was all that. And what was cool with the E46 platform is that it wasn't just a sedan that got released. They eventually released the coupe, they released the a wagon, and each one of the designed to remain true to BMW's driving experience, but have their own individual personalities. Whereas you could have your track or spirited back road driving car, your grocery getter, or even your Home Depot runner, because of the wagon, you have plenty of capacity to go there. And of course, this is before the X3 and X5, so a wagon form back then was it. I mean, that was a great utilitarian vehicle. So, but really what we're missing here, what I haven't talked about yet, and what makes the E46 such a darling, is the drivetrain. And the E46 worldwide, not necessarily in the United States, we had a limited selection. Worldwide had a wide selection of engines, from the M43 4-cylinder and the N42 to the 6-cylinder engines with the M52 in the beginning and the later M54 engine that came out. And these engines weren't just about, you know, horsepower and torque, but how they delivered it, just smooth. I mean, no matter where, it was smooth. It wasn't jerky, and just power was available all over the power band. Great engines. And it just made it more of a driving joy and just really engaging. Just a car that, with that noise that came with, just sounded excellent. The other part that was interesting with the E46 is it returned the xDrive platform. So the E30 325iX was one of the first 3 series that have all-wheel drive. I believe that went away with the E36, but then it returned with the E46 and has been the mainstay since. And with the E46 is when it got branded as the xDrive platform. And this is something that BMW now knew their customers were driving this car wherever, so safety, stability, and traction, all that came along with it, including enhancements to the DSC system, all that. So that made the E46 again the everyday car and the every weather car. Now I say that, but we also need to talk about the crown jewel of the E46, the legendary M3, which was powered by the S54 engine. So with its individual throttle bodies and other enhancements, the inline 6 with the M3 version of the E46 had 330 plus horsepower, and it was just a dynamo car to drive. And right now, those cars are still out there. They are now popular. One of the things that is a catchback, and I'm not going to go too deep in this, is the SMG. It wasn't that great. We all know that. But 6-speed manual, M3, S54 engine, chef's kiss. So anyways, that's the E46. Just a quick little rundown back through history to kind of talk about it and kind of set a baseline for my 2001 E46. And I've already done some filming of when I first got the car, so we're going to jump to that. So I'll see you on the flip side. Okay, so I'm going to pause this video at this point because this is a whole series about this new 330i. Tune back in as I get back into introducing the car a little more thoroughly, talk about what the plans are, and I guess going through the whole project. But welcome to the new project, Project E46 Part 2. Thanks for subscribing, watching, likes, all that. Please please subscribe. We got some more stuff coming, and gotta get back to the Mini because the Mini is now a valuable thing. Haggerty says so I'm going with it. But anyways, y'all, thanks again. Catch you later. Peace.